Good evening, you are watching ReNEWS in English. I'm Sona Tumanyan. The term outsourcing continues to be a subject of discussion and to cause differing opinions. The Prime Minister's press secretary addressed the topic on her Facebook page. To quote her, Armenia's territorial integrity, sovereignty and jurisdiction cannot be outsourced. The secretary also noted that the business management of the railway, pipelines and power transmission lines can be outsourced. Speaking specifically about the maintenance and management of roads, the secretary wrote that Armenia today, as it always has, cooperates with private companies. She also emphasized that there is some confusion in the media regarding Armenia's positions on the topic of unblocking regional transport routes. Parallel to all this, Russia is not remaining silent. The Foreign Ministry spokesperson stated yesterday that for several years NATO has been trying to strengthen its position in the South Caucasus, and according to her, NATO's goal is to use the resources of the region's countries for the interests of the collective West, like colonialists. Let's listen to Zakharova.
We hope that the countries of the region, including Armenia and Azerbaijan, realize the risks of the situation worsening. Everyone knows how this ends.
Speaking of NATO, let's shift our focus to the U.S. and an article published in the Wall Street Journal by Senator Steve Daines, a Trump ally, which states that Donald Trump is on the verge of brokering a peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The senator spoke about his meetings with Pashinyan and Aliyev and wrote that both realized the urgency of the moment and the significant opportunities opening up. He emphasized that Armenia and Azerbaijan are now breaking free from Russian domination. He also spoke about the Middle Corridor, writing that its geography gives the region exceptional strategic importance. Located between the U.S. adversaries like Iran and Russia, it is the only land corridor through which the Western can trade unhindered with Central Asia, the senator noted. Incidentally, this is the same senator who met with Prime Minister Pashinyan on May 30 of this year. For some time, there has been talk about the closure of the Red Cross office in Azerbaijan, and now the office is closed, and it was the only means of meeting with the Armenian prisoners of war. The Azerbaijani authorities have forbidden the organization's representatives from visiting the Armenian prisoners. The prisoners' families also report that neither visits nor communication via video call are permitted any longer. The Armenian office of the Red Cross does not yet have a clear idea about the future format for contacting the prisoners, and the relatives of the prisoners of war are left in a state of complete uncertainty. With this move, Azerbaijan is directly leading the issue of the Armenian prisoners of war to an impasse.
At this time, I cannot publicly provide any specific details about what is being discussed with the Azerbaijani authorities by our headquarters. However, that process is still ongoing. Whether or not it will be possible for the organization to continue its mission regarding detained persons and to address the remaining humanitarian issues is something I cannot say at this moment. I can only confirm the fact that operations will be halted and discussions are still underway.
Turkey's ambassador to Azerbaijan, Birol Gün, has also stated that the Armenian-Turkish border could be opened if a stable peace agreement is signed or initialed, and the conditions regarding the Zangezur corridor are met. The ambassador noted that the Armenian-Azerbaijani and Armenian-Turkish normalization processes should be viewed as interconnected. According to the diplomat, Armenia stands to gain the most from the opening of borders and from peace. Incidentally, the Turkish ambassador also recalled Turkey's 2021 request to Azerbaijan to open a consulate in occupied Shushi or any other city in Karabakh, adding that the choice in this matter belongs to Baku. And a noteworthy statement has been circulated on a Telegram channel of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The publication speaks of the 120-kilometer Tabriz-Yerevan strategic project, which connects Iran to Armenia, not only strengthening Tehran's position, but also creating a serious obstacle to any attempt by NATO or Israel to establish a foothold in Sunni. Before getting to Armenia, they will have to face Iran. The post is accompanied by the footage from the construction work of the Tabriz-Yerevan route. The President of the Republic of Armenia, Vahagan Khachaturian, is visiting the Syunik province these days. The President visited the Chakaten and Nerkinhand communities, spoke with residents, inquired about the condition of the villages, familiarized himself with existing problems, and answered the questions raised. The implementation of the government's current programs was also a focus of Khachaturian's attention. The President of the Republic also managed to visit a military unit, where he familiarized himself with the living conditions of the service members and the overall conditions of the base. Some service members received awards. At the Meghri checkpoint on the Armenian-Iranian border, Khachaturian was briefed on the activities of the customs point as well as the progress of the ongoing construction. Yesterday, the Secretary of the Security Council, Armen Grigoryan, received a delegation from the Safe Armenia Judeo-Christian Union. He highlighted the importance of their visit for the further development of Armenian-American relations, pointing out possible avenues for cooperation, including in the defense sector. Current claims related to Amulsar, Sanitec, and Air Arabia. Of course, Armenia does not always lose in court, but the total amount of claims against the Republic of Armenia in arbitration court is $1.5 billion. Monica Hayroyan has addressed the topic.
$1.5 billion. This is the total sum of claims filed against the Republic of Armenia in arbitration court. Currently, there are 6 ongoing cases against the RA, including claims from Sanitec, Air Arabia, the company operating Amulsar, and a number of other companies. According to experts' assessments, the number of investor complaints has noticeably increased in recent years.
Any investor, beyond the profitability of the investment, economic parameters, communications, labor, and availability of resources, always tries to understand the issues within the legal framework. When the number of these disputes grows significantly, it raises other concerns, because no investor wants a situation where at any moment, someone can just get up and say, I want some too, and the government gets up and says, I also want a certain percentage in participation.
The most recent arbitration claim was filed by Sambal Karapetyan in connection with the nationalization process of the Electric Networks of Armenia, ENA. The arbitration issued an interim decision obliging the Armenian government to cease any steps to seize ENA and not to disrupt the company's normal operations. The decision is temporary and is not considered a final verdict. Nevertheless, the Public Services Regulatory Commission has appointed Romanas Petrosan, the retired head of the State Supervision Service, as the temporary head of ENA, which raises the question, does this violate the arbitration decision?
There is also the New York Convention, which the RA has joined. It distinguishes between arbitration decisions made under an urgent procedure as a measure to secure a claim and decisions that resolve the case on its merits. The difference is clear, especially in terms of enforcement. At the same time, an exception is also provided for. A domestic court can decide not to enforce an arbitrator's decision if it contradicts public order.
According to Aram Orbelian, this draft law has no connection with the activities of ENA.
It is directly aimed at seizing ENA. I don't want to delve into terminology now. Call it nationalization, statization, seizure. The fact remains that the owner of ENA cannot participate in that process.
The Civil Code provides that the state can carry out nationalization and, according to the Constitution, the right to property can be restricted only in special cases. In this case, the law requires that the owner be given fair and adequate compensation.
When nationalization is said among the people, everyone imagines it's about seizing someone's property. But in our country, such a legal procedure related to any form of property does not exist. Whatever we talk about, it will be of a compensatory nature.
However, during his press conference, Prime Minister Pashinyan was confident that in the case of claims filed in arbitration, it is not a given that the claimants will win.
And who said that Armenia is going to lose in arbitration? The RA has recently won several cases in arbitration. Meaning, when you say arbitration, is that it? The panic spread? The stampede began?
In any case, Armenia has won several cases in previous arbitration proceedings. If, however, Sambal Karapetyan wins the case, will the government be able to provide the financial compensation that the arbitration court might demand? After all, we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars.
As a rule, there will be quite significant monetary claims against Armenia. And if they are granted, the necessity to pay these funds will arise. Now with what means? Essentially with the funds of all of us. Whether it's by taking from our state budget, or if the budget doesn't have enough funds to solve problems, they will raise taxes for it.
The situation surrounding Sambal Karapetyan and ENA has drawn a reaction from the international community. Economists are sounding the alarm. Regardless of the arbitration court's decision, this process is a serious challenge for Armenia, as such cases can undermine investor confidence and deter the flow of new investments into our country. Monica Hayroyan, Stepan Tigranian, ReOpen Media.
Yesterday, I already managed to cover the meetings of the Deputy Foreign Minister. Today, I will address his speech at the ministerial conference dedicated to the peaceful settlement of the Palestinian issue on the basis of the two-state principle. Vahangostanian noted that Armenia, based on the memory of its own history, knows very well what the horror of war is. He emphasized that despite official Yerevan's limited resources, Yerevan, together with Egypt, has delivered humanitarian aid to Gaza in order to lend a hand to the Palestinian people in need.
Armenia does believe that only two independent neighbor states can guarantee long-lasting stability, security, peace, and prosperity for both Palestinian and also Israeli people, where all enjoy the benefits of peaceful coexistence. With this in mind, being always a supporter of two-state solution, in June 2024, Armenia recognized the state of Palestine, and later, under the auspices of 79th session of UNGA, established diplomatic relations. In this regard, Armenia welcomes the announcement of President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and recent statement by the United Kingdom on intention to recognize the independent state of Palestine. We are also particularly proud that foreign ministers of France and Palestine had a chance to meet in Armenia in the margins of Yerevan Dialogue Diplomatic Forum, paving a way for historic development.
And now let's make a smooth transition from the Deputy Foreign Minister's speech to the process of Palestinian independence. The United Kingdom is the second G7 country to support Palestinian independence. Meanwhile, France is preparing to send large-scale humanitarian aid to the Palestinians. It seems Germany is also taking a favorable approach to the matter and has sent humanitarian aid. According to an expert, the U.S. is Israel's trump card in this process, as Netanyahu will not resign from the power as long as Trump is president.
The deepening crisis in the Middle East, particularly the developments in the Gaza Strip, continues to be the focus of the international community's attention. According to experts' observations, Israel is carrying out ethnic cleansing in Gaza and is looking for pretexts to continue this course of action.
Naturally, Israel in no way wants, for now, to achieve peace in the Gaza Strip with Hamas because there is a clear plan. As long as the geopolitical and regional situation is favorable to achieve the maximum specifically regarding Gaza, that is, the annexation of the territory to the State of Israel. And currently, all of Israel's steps are in that direction.
The seemingly biggest obstacle is not Hamas, of which only fragments remain. In reality, Israel is deliberately not crushing these fragments completely, using them as a pretext to continue its presence and its actions against the civilian population in order to complete the ethnic cleansing.
Israel's main goal is the occupation of the Gaza territory without the local population. Now, how should the issue of the local population be resolved? Naturally, in two ways. The first is emigration, natural emigration, for which there is currently no opportunity.
According to the Arabist, the second option is to artificially create the conditions of a humanitarian disaster, making it impossible for Palestinian Arabs to live in Gaza. According to the latest data, about 90% of residential buildings in that part of Palestine are destroyed or damaged, as a result of which people are living under the open sky, in ruins, or in tents. Days ago, France's announcement that it would recognize the state of Palestine at the UN General Assembly in September caused a storm in the international community. Macron's speech was met with a harsh reaction from Israel and personally from United States President Donald Trump. The Prime Minister of Great Britain, Keir Starmer, also made a similar statement with reservations.
Therefore, today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm that the United Kingdom will recognize the state of Palestine at the UN General Assembly in September if the Israeli government does not take practical steps to end the terrible situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to establishing long-term, stable peace by revitalizing the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to resume aid delivery and clarifying that there will be no seizures on the West Bank.
Israel will do what it wants as long as it has the support of Donald Trump and his administration, notes the analyst.
And let's also state the fact that Israel is able to act so audaciously at this moment because of the Donald Trump administration in the United States. But this administration is not eternal, is it? In just 3 years, an election period awaits in the United States, and there is no guarantee that a new U.S. administration will be able to support Israel in such a way, or will even have similar plans. So Israel's activity is very limited in time, and the whole issue is to solve its problem problems during Donald Trump's term because it will be more difficult later.
In order not to fall behind the European great powers, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has announced that he is preparing for a Gaza reconstruction conference in cooperation with regional partners, Great Britain and France, to support post-war recovery and prevent further expulsions from Gaza. According to Armen Petrosian, the period following France's announcement on recognizing Palestine will be very interesting. Although the process will begin in September, when the UN General Assembly resumes its active work after the holiday season, France is speaking out about it now, most likely for the purpose of testing the reactions.
Netanyahu is a person with a lust for power, and he also suffers from an obsession to leave his mark on history. He has surpassed David Ben-Gurion, the founder of the State of Israel, both in his term of office, meaning he is Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Now his other goal is, if not to surpass Ben-Gurion, then to leave his mark in history as the second most influential prime minister after Ben-Gurion, as the prime minister who neutralized the security environment around Israel, who derailed the Palestinian state agenda, and why not, who expanded the territories of the state of Israel a little.
While European states are pushing forward the idea of recognizing Palestine as a means to achieve peace, and Israel and the U.S. oppose these initiatives, people in Gaza continue to die of starvation. The number of deaths from starvation has reached 154, of whom 89 are children. At this moment, the lives of 20,000 emaciated children are at risk. David Genjoyan, ReOpen Media.
The Russian Ministry of Defense reports that its air defense forces destroyed 32 Ukrainian drones over various regions of the country during the night of July 31. The ministry also announced that Russian forces have taken control of the strategically important city of Chasiv Yar in Donetsk. Azerbaijan-Ukraine relations continue to warm against the backdrop of numerous Russian strikes. It became known that from the X page of Hikmet Hajiev, assistant to the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan and head of the Foreign Policy Affairs Department of the Presidential Administration, that he has met with the ambassador of Ukraine to Azerbaijan, Yuri Husiev. During the meeting, the parties discussed the prospects for deepening the strategic partnership between Azerbaijan and Ukraine. Husiev, for his part, thanked Azerbaijan for its unwavering support. Let's listen to the noteworthy news from the international newsfeed.
Overnight, Russian forces launched a missile and drone attack on Kyiv, resulting in the deaths of at least 6 people, including women and children. The attack targeted 27 sites in 4 districts of Kyiv, including residential buildings, schools, and hospitals. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the Russian assaults. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met in Washington with Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelat. The meeting took place against the backdrop of tensions in the Middle East and global security concerns, focusing on U.S.-Egypt relations and the situation in Gaza. Rubio stressed that Hamas must not govern Gaza again, while Abdelat rejected proposals for the displacement of Palestinians, calling to accelerate reconstruction efforts and support the establishment of peace in the region. Hizam al-Assad, a member of the political bureau of Yemen's Ansar Allah movement, announced that in support of the people of Gaza, they will target all maritime companies, including Arab and Islamic ones, that cooperate with Israel or Israeli ports. They have now blocked all ships linked to Israel from entering the Gulf of Aden. China and Russia will hold joint naval exercises in the Pacific Ocean in August near Russia's Vladivostok province. The drills, named Joint Sea 2025, will take place in air and sea domains, a spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Defense announced. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the reduction of import tariffs on goods from South Korea from 25% to 15% as part of an agreement to ease trade tensions with the U.S. South Korea has pledged to invest $350 billion in the U.S., including in shipbuilding, chips, and energy, as well as to make $100 billion in purchases in the energy sector. President Lee Jae-myung noted that the agreement has eliminated export uncertainties and secured competitive tariffs. David Genjoyan, ReOpen Media.
For more updates, follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, X, and Facebook. I am Sona Tumanyan. Stay informed with ReNews. Goodbye.